Taking control of your live streaming destiny. What does it mean? How do you do it? What exactly are you supposed to do when you want to have complete control over your live streaming? How do you take it into your own platform? How do you get out of things like YouTube or Facebook, or not necessarily be trapped in systems that you don't necessarily have as much control over? That is what we're going to be talking about with Ryan Jesperson from Wowza Media Systems today, and I'm very pleased to have him joining us. So that will be a very special and fun interview. And then after that, we will be getting hands-on from the beginning on how to do it. So as usual, we try to combine the practical with the higher level learning, and so this should be a very, very exciting and fun interview for you. And I hope this episode of Wirecast Live will be a good one. Thanks for watching, and we will be right back after the opening credits. Welcome to another episode of Wirecast Live. This is Andrew Haley joining you from our headquarters in Telestream. I'm very pleased each week to bring you the latest tips and advice on how to live stream, what to do with live production, everything to do with live streaming and video production. We try to bring on content experts each week and talk about some of the topics that would be most relevant to you as someone who might be getting interested in how to do this yourself. And to that end, we have some exciting stuff for you today, particularly around taking more control of your own live streams and live streaming experiences and managing your own live streaming server. So in a sense, being your own mini Facebook, your own mini YouTube live or anything like that. So a lot of possibilities, a lot of control. We'll be getting into that shortly. Before we do though, you can find a couple things you might want to know. We have some news and announcements as well as some places and some prizes and giveaways that I always like to do at the top of the show here. So first of all, if you are curious and you want to know how to subscribe or share or get more information, these are the places you can find out more about us. This is Facebook. You can find us at Telestream Wirecast, all one word, on Twitter at Wirecast, or on YouTube at Wirecast Tube. Now, Wirecast Tube is really where we post all of the shows, and we do a lot of that each week, and you'll find the curated versions. The unedited raw stuff can be found on Facebook, so you can head back there and you can view our playlists from past episodes and a lot of fun stuff there. Lots of good content and a lot of hands-on tutorials. We also follow up each live show with a hands-on learning session, and today that's going to be a practical tip guide on how to get started using Wowza. And so stay tuned if you want. That'll start about 3 p.m. today, our time. We're on Pacific time. And wherever you may be, it usually is about a half hour after the show starts. Now, giveaways, my favorite part. So we have recently started a fun contest each week on this show where we give away a free t-shirt. So if you are wanting to win one of these free t-shirts, then all you need to do is leave a comment in the comment section, either on YouTube, on the chat, or in the Facebook chat section, comments, and you're going to pick a number. It's pretty simple. Pick a number between 1 and 100, type in your best guess, and that's it. By the end of the show, we will announce the person who was closest to the number that I have written here, and we will, then you just private message us, we'll give you a free t-shirt. Couldn't be easier. We, part of this reason we're doing this is just not only to make it more fun for you guys, but we have a lot of t-shirts that we can't use, so we figured why not give them to people who want them. All right, so that is the contest, the free t-shirt pick a number contest. So go ahead, type in your guess. I see Dave's already entered his guess, Check TV, Diego Reyes, and I'm going to do the announcement at the end of the show. So you have to be present to win. You can't just tune out if at the end of the show when we announce the winner. If you're not there, we don't see you, then we'll go to the next person or the closest number. All right. Now, we have also been showing you guys a link at virtual sets. PTZOptics is giving away some free virtual sets. There's a link you can go to get those, and those should be available on right there at the landing or the URL that's to my left here. So the http://PTZOptics.com/landing/wirecast.htm. Next week, actually, we will be having them on the show. Paul Richards from PTZOptics will be joining us. We can talk more about virtual sets and everything that's going on with them. But another thing more exciting is that we'll be giving away some new licenses to their new live YouTube comment tool. So there's a way that you can now bring in your comments live from YouTube, and actually I think they're adding Facebook as well, right into Wirecast. It's super easy. Paul will be showing you how to do it using the tool that they've built, and he's going to be giving away 10 free licenses. So stay tuned for that show, and there's actually, we'll be sending out a link on how you can enter to win their free comment tool, or a free copy of their comment tool. It's a plugin. It just uses a web page sort of API, and then it brings in the live comments from Facebook and eventually YouTube right into Wirecast, and you can display them on screen, which is something I know a lot of you have been interested in. How can you do that more easily? We do have Twitter obviously already built into Wirecast, and there's more coming on that front, but in the meantime, this might be one of the best ways to do that, and it's certainly awesome. I know Paul's been working hard on it with a developer, and it sounds like a very, very handy tool, and so I'm excited to show you guys it in action, and not only that, give you guys some free copies of it as well. All right, that pretty much covers it. The following week, we have on June 22nd, joining us will be Andrew Choe. I have to ask him how to pronounce that, from Adult Swim on Comedy Central from the Turner Broadcasting. So he's going to be coming on. They use Wirecast for a lot of their live streaming of their comedy shows, a lot of their off-screen or second-screen content. So nobody knows. They've been using Wirecast in all kinds of fun ways. I'm excited to sit down with him, just get his take on live streaming, where it's going, and what types of things they do over Adult Swim. And it should be a really fun interview. I'm excited to sort of meet him in person. We've emailed back and forth a little bit, but have not had the pleasure of actually talking with him yet. Okay. I think that about covers it. We'll have a few more news announcements and events I'll tell you about at the end of the show, just before we sign off for today. But without further ado, I would like... can we type in that URL? Yeah, on YouTube. Dave's wondering if we can type in those URLs. So Dave, we will type those in behind the scenes. We've got Trevor. He can probably chat that in to the YouTube chat. I'm actually trying to pull up the Facebook comments real quick here before we get started. I want to make sure that I'm getting the questions that you guys are typing in. So I'm gonna find that. Every time I go to the Facebook event here, it just quits out of my app, so that's not working so well. Maybe I can pull it up right here. Okay. As I pull that up, I'm going to bring on our guest for today, Ryan Jesperson from Wowza Media Systems. Ryan, welcome.
Hi, Andrew. How are you? It's good to talk to you again.
Doing great. Thanks. It's good to talk to you again. So, Ryan, you're joining us all the way from Spain. You've stayed up late to be on the show tonight. I really appreciate you staying up late for us.
I am. I'm a night owl, and Wowza is a global company, so we've got people all around the world. So happy to be on.
Yeah, I'm glad you're on. And you joined us a while back ago. For a couple years ago, we did a great webinar together. At that time, you were working in the partner and marketing, and now you are the regional manager for the EMEA, sort of the Europe, Middle East, Africa region for Wowza. How's that going? You just transitioned in your duties. Some similarities. I'm sure there are a lot of new challenges as well.
Absolutely. No, the Europe region is a great region for Wowza. We're doing a lot in the Middle East and in Africa as well, in those emerging technologies. And, it's almost daily that I talk to customers who are using Telestream products, specifically Wirecast, to stream with Wowza. So really healthy region for us. And Wowza is pretty well divided. Our revenue is divided pretty much equally across, the Americas, the EMEA region, and then also Asia Pacific. So I think just like Telestream, we've got users all around the world.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I know that with a guy like you out there, obviously you grew up in Europe. You came to the U.S. for a while, but you're back sort of in your home turf. It must feel good to kind of get back to some of your old stomping grounds, I would assume.
Absolutely. No, I mean, there's a lot of great customers we have globally here. I deal with a lot of football teams. So Real Madrid, is one of my clients here in Spain. But we deal with all industries. Like House of Worship, enterprise, EDU, like just a huge mix. But it is nice here in Europe because it's like you took a 3-hour flight and you're bounced around 3 or 4 countries. So you get this mix of cultures that sometimes you don't find in the US.
I
So it,
know.
it is nice to be back.
That's pretty cool. And actually, so a lot of the sort of the commonality there is that a lot of these sort of organizations, Real Madrid and so forth, House of Worship, they're all trying to take more control over how they stream, what they stream, to make sure that they can put their content where they want it, when they want it, and how and enable anyone who needs to view it. And that's not something that's always possible using sort of closed systems that you don't have the access to, something like a Facebook or YouTube. Certainly, those are very useful. Social media platforms are incredibly important to what we do and to what anyone, I think, in sort of new media is doing. But that's not the whole story. You definitely need the ability to sort of open the engine and fine tune things. And I think Wowza has always sort of typified that, or been sort of symbolized that to me, because I think from day one, Wowza's sort of mission was to sort of give this technology into the hands of anyone so that they could do it with their home server and basically start up an entire sort of streaming system or ecosystem. And we've seen you guys do that on a small scale all the way up to massive installations with thousands of concurrent live streams. So can you talk a little bit about Wowza for people who may not be familiar with it? What's the history of the company, and how did you sort of get started, and where are you today?
Great. Yeah. With Wowza Media Systems, we've been around since 2005. So, really been, really a part of streaming history because we've been around for that long. But our founders, Dave and Charlie, developed the product, and it really took off right from the beginning. People were looking for kind of an agnostic solution. At the time, you had Flash Media Server, you had Real Player, Real Server, the Helix server. So with those products, it was kind of a proprietary workflow to have streaming and get to devices, right? So
Right.
with Wowza, it was the first to market to really have this agnostic solution that allowed you to deploy streaming once, one streaming server, and get to all of these devices. And that's really the core philosophy of what our product is. It's an easy way to get your content, your live video content, or even video on demand content to as many users on as many devices as possible. And that's really the mantra at Wowza is video is hard. And people who've tried to do a live session like this or live production in general, or live streaming know that it's hard. And Wowza is trying to make it as easy as possible. And to kind of mirror that, we worked with a lot of our industry partners, Telestream included, with our new Works with Wowza partner program a couple of years ago to really try to even improve that workflow and make it even easier for customers. And Andrew, you and I are going to get hands-on and show exactly that integration between our products and show how easy it is to get up and running with live streaming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the learning session. So for those of you who want to see this in action and see exactly how you would start literally from zero and get something up and running, Ryan and I will walk through that. He's actually going to take me through as if I was a new customer, and we'll start from scratch. We'll sign up for an account. We'll show you exactly what you would do if you were doing this on your own at your own place. And so stay tuned for that. We'll start that around in about 20 minutes or so during the learning session at the conclusion of this episode. In the meantime, though, I want to talk a little bit more about sort of what Wowza is and what it isn't, what it can do and what it can't do. So it started in 2005. Like you said, you are part of streaming history. You're sort of the first sort of platform agnostic one of the first live streaming technologies. And I think Wirecast was sort of took a similar approach. We weren't trying to lock you into one service provider. We weren't trying to lock you into one thing. We wanted to play nicely with everybody and make it as easy as possible, because you're right, this stuff is not simple, and there's a lot going on underneath the surface. And as we want to try to make complex things look easy, similar to what we're doing here on the show. So in order to do that, you need to have a lot of options and a lot of control. And Wowza was sort of designed by the founders to have a lot of handles, a lot of control, a lot of external sort of knobs and switches that could be pulled by anybody. And I think that might have been where it started. And now, since then, you've been building in the easy-to-use web interfaces. You've added all these incredible, in-depth tutorials on the sides of each page. So as you're changing things or making settings, you can read exactly what each one's going to do. So uh, it's come a long way. And it started basically as a piece of software that you could install on a home server called the streaming engine. This piece of software was basically setting up your own sort of closed off streaming server or streaming system. You didn't necessarily have to run it out on a Google or Amazon cloud. You could run it using your home computer and your home network solution or your business or whatever. Where did you sort of see the first early adoptions of this, and how was it beginning to be used in the early days?
Yeah, I mean that's a great introduction to kind of what Wowza is and how how wide our reach is. With Wowza Media Server that became Wowza Streaming Engine, it is built in Java and it's deployable pretty much on any operating system. So anything from Linux and Windows more traditionally in the cloud or even in local server environments. I run it here on my own Mac, and then you can even run it on a device like a Raspberry Pi. So we have users out there running it on very small kind of physical hardware footprints. So with that kind of flexibility, it allows you to deploy it in any kind of a scenario. We have people deploying the actual Raspberry Pi on a drone to be able to stream from drones inside of live concerts. So there's just this huge
awesome.
wide variety of different use cases, and people can keep inventing one. So and keep inventing them. We have over 20,000 customers in 170 countries, including outer space. So NASA is a customer, SpaceX is a customer, and then really at its core, people are maybe a little bit confused. They've heard of Wowza, but they're like, how does Wowza compare to a Brightcove or a Kaltura or Livestream or Periscope? Where does Wowza fit in? Well, all those names I just named are Wowza customers. So even some of these largest streaming infrastructures in the world, including CDNs, 40% of the world's CDNs are built on Wowza. Level 3, Limelight, they're Wowza customers. So with all of these large streaming enterprises built as their core software with Wowza, it shows kind of the reach of what our software really can do, and that people trust it to do their own development. And that's been kind of our Achilles heel. It's like we are such a developer-friendly product, and that is our core, that people maybe have been a little scared by it because we never had a user interface. It had to be all done programmatically or through XML configuration. So probably about 3 or 4 years ago, we started developing a user interface, and then we took it a step further and we built a cloud-based solution that is very much like a live stream or a Ustream that has a very easy-to-use cloud-based interface that you can set up a live stream. But then on top of that, not only can you in 5 steps set up a live stream, you can then take that entire infrastructure and build your entire live streaming service on top of it. So it really takes it to a completely different level. And that's really where Wowza's focus is trying to make live stream, democratize it, and make it available to everyone. Everything from a very simple end user who's running a small house of worship, all the way through to enterprise level platforms that are looking to build their future solutions on us.
Yeah, the versatility, I think that's a really good point, that you're taking this same piece of technology, same sort of software, and installing it on anything as small as a Raspberry Pi all the way up to major world-spanning CDNs that need that huge infrastructure, need to run that. So that's pretty impressive. That's an impressive client list. That's an impressive sort of tool that it just shows how scalable and flexible it is. I mean, I think it's really speaks highly of what you guys are doing there. So talk a little bit about some of the challenges that Wowza was designed to resolve. What are the things that it does really, really well? And what are the pain points that it's solving for customers?
I think the number one thing I would say is the hardest thing in streaming is getting your content to every single device, every single piece or consumer that wants to consume your content. That's a huge headache. Trying to get to every iPhone, every browser, every user on any kind of network. It's not easy. If you just want to deliver to maybe, hey, I just want to deliver to Google Chrome and this version and that's it. Well, it might be a little bit easier. But when you try to get across this wide range of devices and wide range of operating systems, it really is a challenge, and that's what Wowza accomplishes, and not accomplished through lots of advanced configuration. Out of the box, Wowza works. You send it a stream from Wirecast, and we can take it from there and make it compatible on every single device in the world. Within quotations, right? Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Right.
So, like practically any device in the world, any pop-up device allows you to get to it without any other configuration. So and we're able to do that. To get a little bit more technical, is you would send us an RTMP stream, which is a very conventional streaming protocol from Telestream Wirecast. That RTMP stream is a stream that can't be consumed on an iPhone. If you try to deliver it straight from Wirecast to users, people who are trying to connect to that URL are going to saturate the network of that that device that's running Telestream Wirecast. So you need something to be able to scale it. And that's what a Wowza server can do, that we can not only convert the protocol to a variety of protocols to reach all these devices, we can also scale it natively. The server itself can scale to several hundred or several thousand users, or a load balanced Wowza deployment can scale to hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users, and hence why a lot of CDNs are built on top of us. So we take these very complicated technology challenges and we're able to really simplify them and make it quite simple to deploy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this idea of the multi-platform or multi-device compatibility is one that has been sort of extremely frustrating for a lot of viewers and a lot of streamers, because you do have this wide proliferation of different standards and different devices and different operating systems, and so it's no easy feat to be able to simulcast something on all these platforms at the same time, let alone make that accessible to somebody doing this on sort of a small scale, let alone a big scale. They're solving vastly different challenges. Do you find that that there's just so I mean, I have a hard time grasping how the same software sort of pile can run on a Raspberry Pi that can also run in a virtualized Amazon S3 or a Google Cloud organization that's balanced across hundreds, if not thousands, of servers. How is it that sort of same design, same software can really run in both places and do it well? Can you talk a little bit about talk a little bit about that and how that might be bridged, how that gap or that, can you square that circle?
Absolutely. Yeah. With Wowza, the biggest question we get is, what is our limitation? How many concurrent users, how many concurrent live streams can we do on one server? Wowza in itself has no limitations. One Wowza server, I've seen users being able to stream thousands of cameras on the same one server on the same one Wowza license. It really comes down to the mercy of the device that you're running us on. If you're running us on an extremely powerful server, you can not only do concurrent live channels on one machine, you can also serve that to several thousand, if not tens of thousands of users at the same time. We had one of our consultants in Norway did a test recently where he was able, with one Wowza server, to simultaneously deliver to over 10,000 users on one device. So in itself, Wowza doesn't limit you. We're built in Java, so with Java, you deploy Java on a machine, and that code base is the same code base regardless of what device you run on. So it makes the operating system almost obsolete, because it doesn't rely on the OS to run; it relies on the Java libraries to run. So that's what allows us to be able to deploy across a variety of regions, and hence why Java is so popular, even for a lot of mobile OSs that are designed out there. To take it even a step further, one of the biggest challenges that people have, especially anyone who's connected who's very much a novice to live streaming, is their eyes are already glazing over, and I can feel them through the social media cloud, that they're already like, oh, he's talking about CPU and memory and RAM and transcoding, and oh my God, what's going on? What we've also done is, with this cloud product that we developed, we tried to solve those challenges too, of not having to source your own hardware. So with our Wowza streaming cloud product, we took the best configuration that our engineers could design for our live streaming workflow and put that into the cloud, running on the largest cloud provider in the world, Amazon, and on the largest CDN, Akamai, and made it all available within one vendor solution with Wowza Streaming Cloud and with Wowza directly. So that kind of configuration makes it even easier for those that don't want to deal with having to configure their own hardware on premises or in their own data center. And it gives them more of kind of that turnkey solution that they're looking for. But then that same platform can actually be extended and configured to be extremely advanced for those very, very advanced users as well. So I think we try to identify what the top challenges are for users out there and try to create a simple solution that we feel is the right one for them to get live streaming quickly and affordably as well.
Now, historically, scale was an issue, so you wouldn't necessarily want a cloud, account or an Akamai level CNN account. For those of you who don't know what Akamai is, it is basically similar to what Amazon and Google are doing for storage. Akamai does for live stream data, and they have data centers all over the world that basically make the live streams available faster and easier for people who want to connect and watch those streams. So if you're, say, in China, and someone else is watching in, say, South Africa or Australia, they can get a similar level of quality on the same type of content or type streams. Now, of course, that can be extremely expensive because they're running this across transcontinental cables under the ocean, and need and it typically didn't make sense to necessarily sign up for an Akamai account if you didn't have a large budget and you weren't anticipating a large number of viewers across the world. So unless you're literally willing to spend thousands and thousands of dollars, it wasn't necessarily the right solution for most people. How affordable is something like a Wowza Cloud for small to mid-size, endeavors? Is this something that's, have you sort of solved that problem by bundling it across, making a one vendor solution for everybody?
No, it's a great point. So, with using a large CDN, any large CDN is you have to commit to a certain usage, which can be cost prohibitive for a lot of users, especially when you're getting started and trying to get up and running with your live streaming, right? So for a lot of people, a lot of times Akamai won't talk to you directly. You'll have to go through a reseller or someone who can actually sell it in smaller portions than what Akamai will deal with directly. What Wowza has done is essentially that. We've worked with Akamai as a partner of ours. We have a ton of customers that are deployed across the Akamai CDN. So we took their network, their Akamai CDN, built it into our Wowza Streaming Cloud solution, and made that available on a pay-as-you-go basis. So you can get very affordable pricing because Wowza has bought that kind of bulk amount of CDN usage, and we pass that along to our customers in an affordable pay-as-you-go model. Now, completely honest, of course, we mark it up and make some money on the bandwidth delivery piece of it.
Which you should.
Yeah, exactly, because we're building that infrastructure. But the reality is we've had customers who have been long-time Akamai customers who even come to us and say that our prices are better than what they can get directly. So there's a lot of benefit with kind of deploying that. What we're really using a CDN to kind of really go down to what does it do, right? It's a content delivery network. Like you said, Andrew, if you want to stream your content and get it to a user in South Korea, also get it to a user here in Spain, get it to a user in Australia. Trying to do that with your own network, you can with Wowza, and you can deploy edge servers that are deployed all around the world, and many of the customers do that. But it requires a level of expertise to do and a level of cost to be able to reach all of those different zones. Akamai has already taken that cost with building out that infrastructure globally, and they have all these different edges in all these countries. So regardless of where a user is trying to consume your content, they can do that. Not just that, within very large geographies, let's say you just want to stream in New York City, you've got a TV station there, and 90% of your users are going to be there. Trying to do that on your own Wowza servers can also be a pain. It can be a pain. It requires that little bit of knowledge to be able to spin it up and set that network up. Using a CDN, they've got the network capacity to be able to support that for very large audiences. Hence why people use CDNs for live streaming, live football, live sporting events, live concerts, things like that. So in essence, using a CDN can be the easiest way to actually scale your content, and hence why we built it into the Wowza Streaming Cloud solution as a way to scale and deliver.
So if you are, say, delivering a 720 stream at 3 or 4 megabits per second, something equivalent to something you would send to a Facebook or a YouTube, and is high definition, and you're wanting, you say you have a few hundred viewers a week, maybe a couple thousand views live on the high end, and your program's half an hour to an hour. Are you looking at, if you were to run that in a pay-as-you-go through the Wowza Cloud model, what are you looking at? What would that cost you approximately?
So, Andrew, you and I have done several webinars together, and we literally didn't plan this call, but it's like you just set that up for me to give you a perfect answer. So, with our Wowza Streaming Cloud specifically, we do. If you go to wowza.com and you go to the pricing section under Wowza Streaming Cloud, if you see the pricing plans, there is a calculator there that allows you to calculate exactly what you just said. So there's a link under the price plans that says Live Event Usage Calculator, and I'm actually going to do this right now. I'm going to do schedule, weekly schedule. So I'm going to do 4 broadcasts a month every Sunday. The average length, let's say it's going to be 2 hours. I'm going to have a total of, let's say I'm a big church. I'm going to do 1,000 viewers per broadcast. The average time of viewers on there, let's say, is 60 minutes, and I'm doing 720p. What this is recommending for me is I'm going to do 8 hours of stream processing time. That's the amount of time that you're actually transcoding in the cloud, pulling in the signal from Wirecast, transcoding it, and delivering it. The bandwidth estimate that we're estimating for that at 720p, and not just 720p, but also we are transcoding to all the different adaptive bitrate renditions. So that's 480p, 360p, 240, or whatever you want to configure for those additional renditions. And so the bandwidth here is 4,000 gigabits is what we're estimating that's going to be. So if you look right under that little pricing, there's a little link that says Live Event Usage Calculator.
Right here.
And right there is where you can click that. Yep, that's perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, so with this, the estimated fee we're looking at that is $279 a month. So that's $199 for a standard plan, and then estimating about $80 in additional bandwidth beyond that usage level. So for me to do that for my church, very quickly I can look at that plan and be able to estimate what that usage is going to be.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So tell me, so then the next obvious question is, why would you do this as opposed to streaming to like a YouTube or Facebook? Explain some of the key advantages of doing it this way. Why is it worth $279 a month to do something like that?
Great question. And the great thing is you can have your cake and eat it too. So, one of the biggest bottlenecks that we see in live streaming, and Andrew and anyone who's live streamed knows this, is upload bandwidth from a location, right? Usually the biggest bottleneck is there. Sometimes we can be lucky enough to have a huge fiber connection and upload several streams directly from Wirecast or anywhere else and send them out. But usually you're limited to sending one high quality. If you're really good, you can send two and have a redundant and a backup. But you send that one high quality, and you need a media server to transcode that. The reason you want to transcode that is because you want to create various renditions for the end user so that they're not trying to consume a very high quality, high bitrate version of the stream when their network connection doesn't allow it. They're just going to sit there and buffer. The number one worst thing that can ever happen in streaming or video online is buffering events. So creating adaptive bitrate allows you to live transcode that with Wowza. The Wowza Streaming Cloud plan does that automatically. It delivers all those to a player that you can then embed on your own website. Now, going back to your question is, well, why does it cost anything for me to do that when I can do it free with YouTube or Facebook or Periscope or any other live streaming platform? The reason is because it's a white labeled solution. There's no logo. There's no ads that may pop up from some other solution. For a lot of people, their data is protected. You don't have other people snooping your usage data, which is really why they're offering it for free, because they're able to see usage data of end users, be able to serve them with ads, and hence why so many of these social media companies are investing in video. But the great thing about this workflow is you can send it up to a Wowza server, be it your own Wowza streaming engine server or the cloud service, and from there transcode, deliver to your own white label player, but simultaneously send it to social media platforms like Facebook Live, like Periscope, like YouTube Live, many of which are customers of ours. You can send it to those platforms and deliver your content across all those different platforms as well. So from that perspective, having that white label solution is critical for people who are trying to control their brand and trying to control what the end user's viewing experience looks like.
No, it makes perfect sense. And a lot of people, I think, confuse this idea that they somehow have to set up their website. I just want to stream it to my website. When what they're not realizing is that a lot of, that when somebody loads a player and is watching a video stream on a website, that is really just a tunneled window to another server somewhere that's streaming up that content. That has nothing to do with the website itself. That really they're just watching an embedded player or something. That is, it's rare for this. That it's generally two different computers in totally different locations handling very different jobs. And so one is handling the video, one is, sort of hosting the website and the assets that you would engage with. And the same goes for any applications, or if you were to develop your own iOS viewing app for an audience experience, whether you're a brand or a company, whether you're doing a tool internally or a church trying to develop a live video viewing app, or a company that wants to have all the employees be able to just go to the same place to see all the relevant information or live video streams. All of that, you still build those tools, you build those websites, you build those, all the stuff that goes around the video stream or the video frame, but you still need something handling all that video and that video data and creating the variations that you mentioned, the HDR and the adaptive bitrate streams and the renditions that you need for anybody to view on any viewing connection, and all that has to be handled by something like Wowza. And YouTube, Facebook, they're all doing that similarly behind the scenes anyway on their own. This just enables you to do it on your terms completely, and to know exactly how your viewer is going to be watching this stuff. So when I say that you're taking control of your live streaming destiny, and that's sort of the theme of the show here, this really is giving you access to the same technology that the very, very biggest companies in the world have access to. It's completely democratizing this idea, and as you mentioned, it's not that expensive to do, and so I'm pretty, again, I just always, the more I sort of learn about what Wowza can do and what it can't do, and there's really not that much that it can't do that doesn't already need to be done or isn't being done by somebody that is, many, many scales larger than what many of our users ask us about and are trying to do on their own end. So very impressive stuff, Ryan. I thank you for kind of running it down for us. So let's take a moment, just take a few questions, then we'll wrap up our interview portion. We'll dive into a hands-on demo.
Perfect. Sounds great.
So let's see, you guys, if that hopefully made any sense. Just type in a question if there's anything you have for Ryan or anything about live streaming in general. One question that comes up a lot, Ryan, is latency. So how do you sort of bridge the gap between being able to be on many devices all at the same time and have a wide sort of, again, for lack of a better word, democratized viewing experience that's still interactive and as real time as possible? I mean, is that really with sort of iOS compatible formats like HLS or MPEG Dash, the latency is just, you're going to get at least 40 seconds or so. It's hard to get that below that and still have the sort of standard viewing experience where anybody can view on any connection or any device.
Yeah, and I'll post this. This is a great link. If you go to just search Wowza low latency, and there's a page, and I'll put this here in the Skype window for us to share, Andrew, and you can pull this up on your machine. But this is a great page because on here it shows there's a graphic that shows where latency is added in the live streaming workflow. So just to do a quick run through is latency can depend on which protocol you're using, right? And Apple HLS, like Andrew mentioned, is by far the most deployed protocol out there right now. It's a protocol that Apple developed to really deliver streaming content to iPhones and iOS. And then it took off from there, and it became the most popular HTTP streaming protocol. It didn't work over a proprietary protocol like RTMP or RTSP. It just worked over the public HTTP protocol, which of course had already gained wide dominance. Some of the drawbacks to it, though, to get a little bit specific into why there is latency in Apple HLS, probably the most is because you have to, according to the spec, you have to create 3 chunks of data. Those 3 chunks have to be buffered or reach an end user's device. Let's say an iPhone, they're watching a live football game. They need to get 3 chunks of content. Those chunks each are usually 2 seconds, can go up to 10 seconds each, depending on how you configure it. So right now, you already have 6 seconds of latency if you configure it down to 2 seconds each with 3 chunks. So once those download, the reason you do that is because let's say you have some kind of a poor internet connection. You're on a 3G tower and don't have the best internet. You already have a little bit of buffered data on your device. Should you lose connection, you can then have less opportunity for buffering events because you have some of that content already on your device. Right. So that's you're just creating a local cache, right? And that's how HTTP streaming protocols work. But the problem is by adding that latency, most people like having a larger chunk window, like 10 seconds or so, but that creates 10 times 3, 30 seconds of latency right off the bat because you're having to buffer and chunk that content on and deliver it to the end user. Then at that point, you can actually insert different kinds of latency. You have the player buffer at the end. You've got CDN. If you use a CDN like Akamai or Limelight or Level 3, these very popular CDNs, they have inherent latency with their protocol as well. If you're then also transcoding with your origin transcoder, this would be a Wowza media server or any other media server, there takes a little bit of time. Usually that's the smallest part of it. It's only a second or less. But that adds a little bit of latency because we have to transcode to multiple different renditions and resolutions. Really, not to get too technical, but it adds up to, in most content you consume out there, is easily 40 to 60 seconds of content. So
of delay, right?
Of delay, sorry, yeah. of latency. What Wowza has been really doing is we've been trying to find a solution for this. And what's so frustrating is there was already a solution for this. It was called RTMP, and it's what we were all using for many years, going back to the Flash days when Macromedia created it for Flash, and it became very popular with the Flash Media Server that became Adobe Media Server.
Oh, and that's why it's called real-time messaging protocol, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not called latent messaging protocol.
Exactly. And the same is true of RTSP. So,
Right.
the Real team developed that with Helix, and that was available, and that was a protocol that was also very widely deployed and used. What happened was RTMP really started dying a death when iPhones didn't natively support it. So they had to find an alternate for it, hence why they created HLS. But HLS still doesn't deliver low latency real-time messaging. So people are trying to find a solution for this. There's a technology out there called WebRTC that was acquired by Google that is trying to do this, but WebRTC is a peer-to-peer connection, and it doesn't scale well because you have to connect to peers and
Right.
share data among each other. They did just announce, actually, I think yesterday, Apple announced that they're going to actually build WebRTC into Safari and into iOS.
Cool.
So that's quite exciting. But it still is very hard to scale. So people are trying to find a way to scale low latency protocols to deliver under 3 seconds of latency and scale that. The good news here is Wowza is working on this, and not only are we working on it, we're doubling down on our investment to find a solution for this. And we currently are in a beta, what we call a preview of our low latency solution. We're working with some of our largest customers on deploying a solution that does this. And there's a lot more to come for that. Probably at IBC, we're going to be announcing some big news around our low latency protocol. But if you come in and see this Wowza low latency page, you can learn a little bit more about it. Bottom line, that's a long-winded answer, but it's a pain right now, and there's no easy way to fix it. So we're working.
It was perfect. That was a perfect answer, and that's exactly what I was looking for, because you need to describe the problem and how we got here, and what you're doing to fix it, and that's exactly it. And this link, as far as the low latency, I think I got this right. So Ryan, I don't actually have access to the Skype chat, so can't pull that link, but I'm going to type this.
That's it right there. That's perfect.
Okay, I've got it.
Yeah, so if you scroll down just a little bit, you've got the use cases at the top. But even better than that, if you scroll down, there is a graphic that's showing all those different layers of where latency is added. Yeah, so right there.
Here. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think there's one below that even. So this shows. This is kind of a new page I think our marketing team created.
Got it.
But if not, search me on Twitter. It's Ryan_Jesperson, I think, and I have a good graphic there that shows the workflow and what to do. But this kind of shows where we're trying to get. So this sub 5-second latency, you start comparing now to where conventional satellite and cable TV is at, and that's where people want to be. They want something that compares to that, and then the near real time. That's when you start talking about real time FaceTime type use cases, right? Where you're trying to really share two-way conferencing and things like that. So. Yep.
Very cool. This is a great page. I will refer to this again in the future. And if you're curious, again, I like this one as well. This is a great graphic explaining sort of how much stuff needs to go out once you start adding all these additional formats. And if you're going one-to-many, that's where all this extra formatting and the extra latency is built in because of all these other devices that other people might be watching on.
But what is cool about this is going back to how we kind of started the conversation about what Wowza does, is you can see we insert here, let's say this RTMP is coming in from Wirecast, the output, you can send low latency to a device that supports it, but simultaneously an iPhone that maybe doesn't support it, you're defaulting back to the Apple HLS. So for a bunch of your users that are using a Flash plugin still and are able to consume that through a Flash player, using JW Player or something else, they can very easily consume that RTMP protocol and do that. So that's kind of the benefit that Wowza offers, is you can do that to reach your use cases and try to stream that. The other issue becomes is RTMP, a lot of CDNs are actually deprecating their support for RTMP. So it's hard to find a CDN out there that's actually supporting scaling RTMP. Hence why a lot of customers are trying to find a solution for this.
Yeah, well, it's cool to know that you're actively working on that. I can't wait to see what you guys announce. I'm very curious. I'd love to try some of that as you guys get further down the road, and maybe we can check in during IBC with you around that time frame.
Awesome.
So I think we will close the interview portion. We will move on to a hands-on demo after the end credits. So folks, if you want to stick around and see how you would set up a Wowza cloud account on your own and get started from scratch, Ryan and I will walk you through that. And Ryan will bring you on right in just a little bit. I'll close out the show here.
Perfect. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Ryan. So, folks, that was Ryan Jesperson from Wowza Media Systems. And as you can see, Wowza has incredible technology that you just really can't find anywhere else. They're a truly unique company and a leader in live streaming and delivering video at high speed and across any platform. And you can just see right there that just from the scalability and the way that they implement things, they're constantly thinking about how to deliver content to anyone, anywhere. In any format, and how to do it as quickly as possible, from the smallest individual to the largest organization. So I hope that was helpful for you. There's some very good information shared there. Before we close out the show for today, and again, don't forget, there is a learning session you can check out. If you don't have time, you have to take off, come back, we'll upload the learning session, how to get started with Wowza, to our YouTube account, so that will be available for you on demand later. But before we do, I have a few things to go through. So first of all, we need to let you know that we have some upcoming live events here. So if you want to sign up, you should head over to the telestream.net/events. You can also sign up for our email list here, which is you'll get notifications of the guest, what the topic is, what we'll be covering each week. We'll send that out before each show. It's a great place to subscribe and get notified. Head over to telestream.net/WirecastLive if you'd like to sign up and get notified and get news and announcements about the show. We will also be you can also head over to telestream.net/live/events right here. This is a great place to learn about any webinars. You can register for any upcoming events. You can also learn about trade shows. Some of the trade shows that are coming up this week. Next week we have Infocom. We'll be in Orlando at booth number 387, and there'll be some of the Wirecast team down there. You should stop by if you're going to be in that area. And we'll also be at ISTE in San Antonio at booth 135 at the end of the month, June 25th to the 28th, in person. And there's a ScreenFlow Back to Basics webinar you can sign up for. That's going to be next Thursday at 11 a.m. You can register that at the events page. All right, now it's time to announce our winner of our t-shirt for today. If you are still on and you are this is one of our frequent viewers, one of our big fans, and one of the guys that I met out at IBC. Winner is Lutz Conius. Lutz from, I believe, you actually are a native of sort of the Netherlands out there. So Lutz, I'm very pleased. We'll be sending you a t-shirt. Congratulations. So just let us know, private message us which one you'd like, the Switch or the I Make Epic Content, or we also have just the branded white Telestream t-shirt. So take your pick. I think we still have plenty available of each one. So just let us know which one you'd be interested in. And congratulations. And next week, guys, tune in again if you'd like to win another t-shirt. All right. And I'd also like to say thanks to our partners, of one of whom is Wowza. We actually do stream this content from Wirecast to Wowza, very much what we'll be showing you, and we use that to then retarget or restream out to various destinations. So it's a very, very handy tool that we use here in the office every day. And of course, our other partners, AJA, Blackmagic, Magewell, New Blue Effects, Prompter People, PTZOptics, and Skype, who Ryan is calling in on today through our Skype machine. So thanks so much to our partners, without whom this show would not be possible. This has been an episode of Wirecast Live. I will see you back next week when we interview Paul Richards from PTZOptics and talk all about bringing in live comments from YouTube and doing a hands-on demo for that. We will roll the credits here, and then we'll get started with a learning session. So stay tuned if you want to stick around for that.